Hi, my name is Coldbeer and let's start with Spellforce 3 Reforced. If you are searching for something like the third Warcraft, search no more. This is a fun mix of RPG and RTS, meaning that most of the time you will control heroes that can gain experience, new skills and all that. Really similar to Warcraft's additional huge maps where you control Rexxar, and the other half of the game is traditional base building, unit training and upgrading so you could swarm the enemy with your eternal wrath. Campaigns are really well written, so reading and listening for conversations will be the thing you'll do a lot. And I mean it, about a third of the game consists of dialogues. So if you just want quick matches where you can show your insane APM of 20, it's not the case. But if you want story-rich RTS RPG game, this is definitely for you. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. The game was released in 2012, but 10 years later it was remastered and sold, you know the drill, as a new game with a price of a new game. Everyone was raging, but now it's not a problem anymore. The game itself is designed by the Elder Scrolls Oblivion lead designer Ken Ralston, and set in a world with a lore of 10,000 years of fiction created by New York Times bestselling author R.A. Salvatore, or however his name is pronounced. I don't know him, but he's obviously very good. So this is a huge open world game, although be warned that some players sometimes encounter game-breaking bugs. I literally read that in a comment that was written a few months ago. It's not old news or something, keeping the age of the game in mind. Anyway, the game itself is really good, so you may want to risk it. Expeditions Rome. This is an indirect sequel of Expeditions Viking, and it has already accumulated a very positive review score on Steam. So here you can create your own Roman legacy, customize your character's look, gender, class and skills to match your playstyle and role-playing fantasy. Although I doubt that you will find a slider for a ding-dong size, like we have in Cyberpunk. That would be a pleasant surprise. So here, as in the prequel, you will engage in tactical turn-based combat powered by an extensive skill-based action system, where every weapon changes your potency on the battlefield. This is a great game for the people who like to use the tiny organ between our ears. People on Steam are saying that this is an interesting, a bit underrated RPG game that takes a huge amount of time to beat, but gameplay almost never gets boring. What Remains of Edith Finch. Overwhelmingly positive review score should grab your attention. 17-year-old Edith Finch is the last surviving member of the eccentric Finch family. All of her closest relatives and family have died violently at a young age, leading to rumors about a family curse. Now she's on her way to her Finch mansion, a bizarre ramshackle building hidden deep within the forest of the state of Washington. Once there, she intends to research her family's history and learn the truth behind the alleged curse. While this can sound like a horror game, it's actually just a tale about one family that is more interesting than your family or mine. People are saying that this is more than just a game, it is a unique form of art. Stray. The game has an overwhelmingly positive review score and is worthy of the full price without a doubt, but now you can obtain it for a little bit cheaper. This is a cat simulator, but not a usual one, if you know some usual ones, because the game is set in a cyberpunk world and that stirs the pot a bit. The game is a third-person cat adventure set in the detailed neon-lit alleys of a decaying cyber city and the murky environments of its seedy underbelly. You can roam surroundings high and low, defend against unforeseen threats and solve the mysteries of this unwelcoming place inhabited by nothing but unassuming droids, dangerous creatures and things. You know, like evil duct tape. It's your enemy. If in your life a cat ever owned you, you know why. Spellforce: Conquest of Io. The title itself is a spin-off from the famous RTS RPG Spellforce games, and this time it's a turn-based strategy RPG with 4X elements similar to Heroes of Might and Magic. You know, when you have a rich lore, you can start experimenting what we will get next. Spellforce racing game? First-person shooter? You know, I would play these. Also yes, in Conquest of Io you will have your town, or as they call it here, a tower, where you can research various skills and abilities and other goodies. You have a huge map to explore and turn-based battles with various monsters. The hero's formula is here and it's working very nicely. You will have to choose one out of 3 unique classes, or you can create your own custom mage and send armies on countless quests. Or, you know, conquests. Pun intended. All 3 classes plays differently. For example, if you choose Artificer as your leader, you may create powerful artifacts that make your army stronger. But if you play as Necromancer, then you instead of various glyphs can raise an army of undead warriors and conquer the land with swarms of low-cost units. That makes your army weaker, but you can breed it quicker. That really changes the gameplay and your tactics in general. Also here you'll research various spells that you can use on the surface map. For example, you can corrode the armor of your adversary before you attack, or do less damaging acts like revealing places with the best potato salad. Gold. World War Z. Humanity is on the brink of extinction. From the Americas to Europe, the undead apocalypse continues to spread uncontrollably, and as the inevitable end looms, a hardened few band together to defeat the horde and outlive the dead. So basically all you have to do is to find a lot of canned food and wait for a month or so for every zombie to rot. But no, this is not what you will do, because otherwise this would be a very boring, lame food tasting game with, survival elements, because, not every canned food is survivable. This game is nothing like that. World War Z is a co-op third-person shooter for up to 4 players, featuring swarms of hundreds of zombies. Based on a famous movie with Brad Pitt, the game focuses on fast-paced gameplay while exploring new storylines from all around the world. If you like zombies and shooting, keep in mind that the game has very positive reviews and it's probably a good match for you. The Long Dock. When I look outside my window into the vast wilderness of North and Eastern Europe, I realize that I don't need games like that. I live in one of them. Snow, ice and cold rules my land, and only the power of my heater keeps me alive. I have to pay 100 euros per month for it, but, it's worth it. Not dying is great. And for the rest of you who are way more lucky with the climate, I should probably say that this game, despite sometimes being very relaxing, is kinda hard. You will starve, you will be thirsty, you will be cold, and you will be eaten by a bear. Still while being alive, screaming and kicking, with the rest of your body that is still not eaten at the moment. So with this joyful note, I must stress out that this is an amazing survival game with more than 90% of positive reviews on Steam. People are talking that this is an artistic masterpiece and one of the best games of the genre. Expeditions Viking. Game description says, a small band of Norse warriors lands on the shores of England. History may have forgotten their names, but their actions live on. Well, as I always say, the actions Vikings made in real-life England involved a lot of pillaging and other crimes, like, killing. So romantic and songs-worthy. Anyway, here as the newly appointed chieftain of a modest Viking clan, you'll have a village of your very own. But to carve your name into the runestones of history, you'll need great strength and great wealth to grow your village's prosperity. There is little left to be gained from the Norse lands, and so you must set your sights on the seas to the west, where tales speak of a great island filled with treasure and slaves ready for the taking. Game has a very positive review score on Steam, but there are also quite a few comments saying that the game is a bit too slow, just like your sister. Spellforce 3: Fallen God. Well, most strategy and RPG fans know Spellforce games, but it seems that this one is somehow forgotten, and it is a beautiful game. It is an absolutely standalone title. You don't need to play or even know anything about Spellforce at all to enjoy it. The stories are absolutely separated, just like you and your ex right now. I would say that Fallen God is a hybrid between Warcraft 3 and party-based real-time RPGs. You will be traveling around extremely huge maps with your heroes, and from time to time you will have to build a base and attack unsuspecting enemies, pillage their puny villages and eat their children. Well, maybe not the latter, but who knows, some of your heroes look pretty ravenous, to be honest. The Unfinished Swan. Here you'll explore a mysterious all-white landscape by splatting paint to reveal the world around you. You'll follow a swan that stepped out of an unfinished painting and wandered off into a surreal storybook-inspired kingdom. Each chapter brings surprises and new ways to explore the world, which is a host of bizarre and sometimes dangerous creatures. You will also encounter the eccentric king who built this empire. This is simply one of the best puzzle games ever created. If you are looking for a nice game with a good story and relaxing gameplay, this title is a must-try, no doubt. Destroy All Humans. It's the 1950s and you, a decent hard-working alien, are here to destroy those disgusting filthy humans for your own personal gain, and just for pure fun in general. Of course, you will have an array of unearthly weapons and psychic abilities. I think you will enjoy an A-probe gun in particular, because who doesn't like... never mind. In this game you can also control a flying saucer.
Nice!
In general, this game is well written and fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. Also, there's an update on the graphics, so it's much prettier now. The only sad thing about this game that it takes only about 8 hours to beat. Desperados 3. You can kill quietly with a knife or take out multiple foes with your revolvers. I especially like the knife part, it somehow feels more personal and, of course, requires more skill. Scenarios Desperados presents are far from cliché, situations are quite original but also familiar with a nice vibe of Wild West. I say vibe because here you will fight not only in small frontier towns, but also in creepy swamps, riverbanks and even in sprawling modern cities. Here you can choose between non-lethal and deadly attacks, meaning that you can finish the game without killing anyone. I have no idea why you may do that, it's boring. I live my real life without killing anyone, why should I do the same where I am allowed to snap a neck or two? For example, I'm against hunting for fun, but I play the hunter and I slaughter all the animals in the forest for pure entertainment. You know why? Because they are not real. Duh. Anyway, Desperados 3 is like an old good Commandos game, but modern with amazing visuals and great quality overall. Journey. This is a very different game if you compare it to anything else in the gaming world. Here you will have to traverse the desert, learn the fate of ancients and dive into dangerous ruins. Or not dangerous, just beautiful. You can't fight here. Running away is also not an option. If you encounter an enemy, the only way for you to survive is to hide. But don't worry, this is not some hide-and-seek game. Enemies are very rare. The thing you will do mostly here is traveling. You will be on a journey. It's a relaxing game, you don't need almost any skills to finish it. It's just a beautiful adventure with amazing visuals and you have all my recommendations. Imagine, my mother is 65 years old and she finished the game on her PlayStation 4 without any help from a side. This game suits everyone. Darksiders Genesis. This is a great game with great humor and very positive reviews on Steam. It is well balanced to play in co-op mode, but also fun in single player as well without any regrets. You, like me, probably have no friends anyway. Although I must warn you that here you'll do more shooting than bashing and stashing, but you will get a fair share of the latter as well. Gamers on Steam are praising the aesthetics, interesting story and fun gameplay, but are grumpy about controls and few almost unsolvable puzzles. Game has great graphics, a bit childish dialogues, terrible camera angles, and no potato salad man class, which is a shame. Anyway, for me it gets 8 cold beers out of 10. Jurassic World Evolution 2. Here you can build your very own Jurassic Park just like in the first part, but a bit more beautiful, fancier and a bit better. You know that number at the end of the game's name has to mean something, and it means more species of dinosaurs as well, like at least 2. So at first it's all about fun, interesting creatures and happy customers, until some brown substance from the bottom of Biosaurus hits the fan. And by that I mean that life always finds the way, and that is kinda the opposite of life for everyone else in your park. You may think that the raptors will escape the cage and will start feasting on your customers, but the reality is way more cruel. There's almost no way that the first human eaten in your beautiful park by a potato raptor would be just a terrible accident. You know, the fault of cheap fence or stupid worker forgetting to close the gates. Nah, it will be you. You will save the game and then let the creatures go. Because after a while you will get bored.
And only blood can entertain you.
Spellforce 3 Soul Harvest. This game, just like Fallen God, is a standalone episode of Spellforce 3, meaning that you don't have to own the base game or even know the story very well. Here you are plunged in a war on many fronts. While some evil threatens to tear apart the Dwarven realm, an enigmatic cult of Dark Elves harvests the souls of people for reasons unknown. That is not cool, you have to stop it. You know, souls are like currency you can use to pay the devil for nice things, so all this soul harvesting stuff is like a bank robbery in my eyes. The game itself is a hybrid between RPG and RTS, meaning that you will have your heroes with various options and combinations on a skill tree and can amass your army like in any strategy game as well. The difference from 3rd Warcraft, for example, is that your heroes here are more like actual RPG heroes than just better units with more powerful skills. The story will take about 20 hours of your time, but if you want you can create your own maps as well. Elex. I think many of you have heard about this game, just like many of you have heard about penguins and giraffes. But have you ever played with a giraffe? No, right? So Elex is like a giraffe.
Wait, what?
Shut up. The main difference between them, you can afford to buy Elex and not a giraffe. So Elex is an open-world action role-playing game from the creators of the Gothic series. It is set in a post-apocalyptic science fantasy universe full of original characters, dinosaurs and deep moral choices. Also here you will have a jetpack, and that is amazing because you can explore not only horizontally but also vertically and find some nice treasures hidden high up the hills. But to be fair, the game is not a top-tier material and is not worth your money when it's not on sale. The controls are clunky and combat is extremely difficult without any reason. But when the price is low like now, you know, why not? The House of Da Vinci 2. In this adventure puzzle game, you will become an apprentice of the famous Leonardo da Vinci. He'll have to solve handcrafted mechanical 3D puzzles and discover hidden secrets. Also navigate through environments of the Italian Renaissance period and travel through time to influence your surroundings. The game features hundreds of objects, many 3D puzzles and mechanical brain twisters waiting to be unraveled. People on Steam are saying that puzzles are really interesting and the graphics are nice for the eye. But sometimes this game becomes just a pixel hunting experience, where you just randomly click on everything trying to make something happen. Despite that, more than 90% of the reviews are positive, so if you like the genre, this game may be perfect for your evening. The Forgotten City. This game, as a lot of gamers point out, is a Groundhog Day in an ancient city. And the mechanic here is simple. Everyone around you is dying for unknown reasons and you have to stop it. If you fail, and you will fail more than once, you can just go to the portal and restart the day over and over again until you solve the problem of dying so nobody dies anymore. If you think about it, this is a roguelite game, just story-based instead of combat. And it's really one of the best adventure games there is. I'm not gonna lie, if you go to Steam you will see the overwhelmingly positive review score. Also, fun fact, this game started as a Skyrim mod a long time ago and it was so well received it became a separate kick-ass game. Everything. Now, if you wondered if we live in a simulation, this game is a great example of how it can go if someone who created or simulated universe decided to play a bit with it. And I'm not talking about making your nose even larger for fun, no, game has a much bigger scale, although not as big as your mama. Everything is an interactive experience where every object in the universe is a playable character, from animals to planets to galaxies and beyond. Travel between outer and inner space and explore a vast interconnected universe of things without enforced goals, scores or tasks to complete. This is a sandbox where you can sink a lot of your time, and it is more of an art than an actual game, but it works as a great stress reliever. Some say even better than potato salad. No, actually nobody said that, at least in this universe. Hard Reset Redux. This is an action-packed and hardcore single-player shooter which embraces the best qualities that the genre has to offer. It includes loads of enemies, great weapon variety, a challenging campaign and a beautifully realized cyberpunk setting. You know, this game is quite cool. If you like shooters, you will probably like this game as well. It's as simple as that. People in comments are saying that the first levels are a bit boring for an experienced gamer, but later it's game on and it's really worth your money. And just look at that price. Any argument against obtaining this gem is invalid. And it has very positive reviews as well. Styx, Master of Shadows. This is an infiltration game with RPG elements, taking place in a dark fantasy universe where you sneak, steal and assassinate your way through as Styx, 200 years old goblin. Here you will be completing various missions and at the same time avoiding detection. Sneak in the shadows, assassinate your targets in close combat, or, you know, orchestrate accidents. RPG mechanics let you unlock new powerful skills, impressive special moves and optimized equipment that will grant you spectacular powers such as invisibility, which is not meant for any creepy activities you just had in mind. You can also buy second part of the game. It is discounted as well, just be careful don't acquire the collection bundle that includes a DLC. You see, that DLC is just a weapon and an outfit, nothing more. Also, it's not cosmetics only. These items are quite powerful, so in a way it's a pay-to-win DLC. That is a blasphemy beyond any words. Singularity. Here you'll be a witness of so-called singularity event that fractured time and threatened the world as we know it. Some say it was the day when everyone forgot the potato salad recipe. That bent time and space, a real apocalypse happened. So here, armed with powerful advanced weaponry and the experimental time manipulation device, you'll fight enemies from the past, the present and the abominations caught in somewhere in between. With the help of this magical device, you will age enemies to dust in seconds, manipulate objects outside the laws of gravity and degrade things or renew them to their pristine form. You will be a real time bender here. Conan Exiles. This is an online multiplayer survival game with mounts and mounted combat set in the lands of Conan the Barbarian. You'll journey through a massive and seamless open world, from the rolling sand dunes of the southern desert to the mysterious eastern swamp and the snow-capped mountains of the frozen north. Climb anywhere and experience full freedom of exploration. In other words, it is an open world sandbox and you can play together with friends or, with creepy strangers as you build your own home or even a shared city. You will have to survive freezing cold, explore loot-filled dungeons and develop your character from lowly peasant to a mighty barbarian. Also fight to dominate your enemies in epic siege wars. People on Steam are talking that the game is a bit buggy and that can be annoying, but it also has boobs in it, so for that you can forgive almost anything. Thank you for watching, have a nice day and I'll see you next time. Bye.